three gimbals: the Crane M3, the M2, and the just announced and just released M2S, which is the upgraded version of the M2. These two, the M2 and the new M2S, what is so different about both of these gimbals? Well, for one, the payload capacity and the overall battery runtime and the ease of use and balancing, and of course the new integrated fill light, which Zhiyun took from the Crane M3. So if you compare the M2 and the M2S, you'll notice that they share basically the same body, the same actual ergonomics, the same buttons basically, but you'll notice that the quick release system is slightly different. They made it better, more rugged, and the overall frame on the M2S feels better, and it gives me more confidence to set up slightly larger cameras. Now, to be honest, these two gimbals and the Crane M3 are on different playing fields. I mean, on the Crane M3, when you take a look at its size, it just outperforms any other gimbal on the market. I mean, I can take my Sony A9 or A7S III with a camera cage and a Zeiss 16 to 35 f4 lens, and it will actually work flawlessly and beautifully, and this thing is just built super rugged. I mean, it's just the Crane M3 honestly would be my decision, but when you take a look at the M2 and the M2S, we do have other different options, and by the way, the price difference is pretty significant. So when you compare the M2S to the M3, you're talking about $100 less in price. So for a lot of you, that's gonna help you out with your budget. So funny enough, the M2S actually shares the same price as the M2 when it was released in 2019. Now again, the M2S is the upgraded version of the M2, so we're gonna get that integrated fill light. It's not by color like we saw on the M3, but it is a really nice touch, especially if you shoot a lot of those walk and talk interview shots. And just like on the M2, the M2S features that same great LCD display that allows you to change things like motor torque settings and the overall functionality of the gimbal. Now with my version of the Crane M2S, I got the combo package, which comes with the gimbal, quick release plate, and that awesome new white backpack that came with the Crane M3 as well. This backpack is literally all you would need in transporting this gimbal and some other accessories, and possibly if you mess around with the internals of the backpack, you can probably even fit your camera in there too. The axis locks on the Crane M2S have been upgraded to feature a tilt lock and the roll lock, something that the original M2 did not have. Out of all three of these gimbals, the M2S also has the longest battery runtime of about 10.5 hours. So that's great for those of you who like to shoot all day, and you can always plug in an external battery pack and have it charge while you're using it too. So when it comes down to payload capacity and overall performance, well, the M3 is definitely going to perform the best out of all of three of these gimbals. It's going to have that larger frame size for you to mount larger cameras, for example, that Sony A9 that I showed you earlier. But the M2S can also hold a larger mirrorless camera such as the Sony A7S III, but with a light pancake lens or a light prime lens, no problem. Something that the M2 definitely could not have done. The M2 was more rated for those point and shoot cameras like the Canon M50 and those Sony vlog cameras. So the M2S is a pretty significant upgrade when it comes down to payload, power, and battery life. The Crane M2S proves to be extremely stable. I'm not surprised after using the M3, Weebill, Weebill S, Weebill 2, all of Zhiyun's gimbals. They've really come a long way, especially when it comes down to the budget videographer or filmmaker. If you have a Insta360, 1R, or GoPro, or any action camera, this is honestly the best fit for that camera. Or if you're using like a Canon M50 or any point and shoot camera that has video features, this is a great budget option for a lot of you that just need something that can stabilize footage really well. And also, if you notice, when I showed you the shots of the stairs, I was changing gimbal modes from pan follow to follow mode. And I love the fact that this gimbal doesn't jerk when I change those modes, because sometimes I need to start in pan follow mode, then transition to follow mode. And I just love the fact that it's completely seamless. photos. Of course, there's some technique involved when using a gimbal, but even if you're a newbie, the shots will come out extremely smooth. Also, POV mode is just another fun mode to use if you really want to have some fun. I'm gonna probably head out of this location. It's getting pretty windy, but that's my take on the new M2S. Great budget-friendly gimbal, and it performs actually very well in windy conditions too. So when balancing this gimbal, just like any other gimbal from Zhiyun, it's very easy. I can literally balance this thing in less than 20 seconds, especially if you're using lightweight camera setups like an iPhone or an action camera. And on top of that, transitioning between different cameras, like let's say if you want to take off your iPhone, put on an action camera, it literally takes like 5 seconds. Unscrew the thumb screw, mount on the new camera, and you're basically done. Since they're both really lightweight setups, you don't have to rebalance the gimbal. But if you do need help on balancing this gimbal, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll be more than happy to hook you up with a tutorial video on that. So overall, the Crane M2S is a great option for those of you who are looking for something that can hold a mirrorless camera but with a very light lens. But if you do want to upgrade down the road, you might want to pick up a slightly larger gimbal like the Crane M3 or the Weebill 2, only if your budget allows for it. But I do like the fact that the M2S is upgraded and it has bigger motors, slightly bigger frame, better build quality, better axis locks, new quick release system. I mean, it has all of these features, especially that new battery life. I think it does a really good job. No complaints here. But if you have any other questions and you want to ask me, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll probably do a live stream with all 3 of these gimbals too, so if you ever want to ask me or talk about any features specifically about these gimbals live, let me know in the comment section. We'll put that together and have everybody just ask questions. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you in another video. Peace.